At handover, we received a much, much better quality of asset information, and it was consistent this time. It was at the right level of detail, at the right level of granularity, in the right format. We received it promptly, and that allowed the smooth transition from when a project is constructed through to when a building is actually being occupied and operated.
Can you tell a little bit more about like the benefits of using proper BIM workflow with in a proper process, standard in place, so where you can use the data efficiently?
Oh, there were so many benefits once we developed this new standard. So first of all, because I was working in a BIM framework, once we defined our information standards within the FM division, obviously there was a lot of training, there was a lot of awareness, there were a lot of changes to existing ways of working. But once we had agreed and set out what these new standards were, because I was the BIM lead, I then had the opportunity to work with the corporate BIM team at Skanska and also work with individual design and construction teams to communicate our new information standards. We were then able to say right at the start of a project, this is the level of information that we need to be handed over to us in order for us to smoothly transition from construction phase into operations phase. And it was a bit of a shock to the system, to the design and construction teams, because they saw the level of information that we now wanted. But then it was an opportunity for me to kind of educate them about what facilities management was and why we needed this level of information. So that collaboration was really, really helpful. They got to learn more about what we did in the operations phase of the building life cycle. I actually got to learn more about what they do at the design phase and the construction phase. But it meant that when, especially on a design, build and operate project, we were confident about the quality of information that was being handed over. Because we had communicated our requirements, that information was now included in the BIM information exchange plans. And we were able to get drafts of what the information was looking like. And if there was any kind of issues, we can always go back to them and again, re-communicate our information requirements. At handover, we received a much, much better quality of asset information, and it was consistent this time. It was at the right level of detail, at the right level of granularity, in the right format. We received it promptly, and that allowed the smooth transition from when a project is constructed through to when a building is actually being occupied and operated. From there, because of the quality of that information, it allowed maintenance teams to actually add additional information to that base asset information that we received. They were then able to connect the history about how the asset was performing. So maintenance events could be linked directly back to an asset. Breakdown events, which naturally occur, could be connected directly to an asset. And that then would allow asset management teams who are responsible for generating the rolling 1 year and 5 year asset management lifecycle strategies. They had such good body of data, they were able to come up with more robust strategies and more justified strategies because the information quality was so good.
Absolutely. And one thing I would like to penetrate here, I would like to ask, when you had those challenges in the beginning that information was really bad, and you put the standards in place and then the information quality went up, because it might be good to for our audience to understand, asset management team, at which stage of the project before it's constructed kicked in? Can you tell a little bit about that?
Actually, it would kick in sometimes at the beginning because they will feed information at the beginning of a project. I mean, the purpose of BIM is also to have a feedback loop. So to feed in what went well on a project to feed into a new project. And that could be the performance of an asset from a particular manufacturer. so that when it comes down to the procurement phase within that project, the FM teams and the asset management teams can actually provide useful advice to say, an air handling unit, for example, you're planning to procure this air handling unit from this particular manufacturer, but experience during the operational phase has shown us that the quality isn't very good. The cost of maintenance is too high when you compare it with how many breakdowns it has. So as that information, the asset management team can actually use that to feed back to designers or the people responsible for procurement to say, we actually recommend that you choose an air handling unit from a different manufacturer because it might cost more upfront, but the operational costs will be a lot cheaper.
It is the whole life cycle, right?
Absolutely, absolutely. And I was actually quite passionate about that. And that's the reason why I really enjoy collaborating with the asset management teams to understand their requirements and their issues, which was fairly similar actually to the FM teams. They just were working in silos. And what BIM also allowed was for us to collaborate more for each project team, the design team, the construction team, the FM teams, and the asset management teams. They had a framework to collaborate better with each other, to understand what they each did, their dependencies on each other, and they all appreciated the value of asset information as it goes through the building life cycle.